Hey folks, welcome. Here we discuss real stories by real people. Today we have the story of a man who finds out his girlfriend lied to him about her location to cheat on him with another man. Let's see how it goes. Story 1. So, I've known my 22, ex-girlfriend 21 for a year and a few months. We met at a bar and hit it off. We started dating and she moved into my apartment really early on. I thought it was going pretty well, except that our jobs had opposite schedules, and we didn't get to see each other except for a couple of hours a day and 2 days a week. During that time, I took her out, we had fun, and I just generally did everything I thought I should to keep us together. She tells me one night she's going to a nice dinner with one of her girlfriends. When I look at Instagram, I see a post from the person she was supposed to be meeting. She was in Oregon, which is not where we live, so unless she was boarding a flight, that was a lie. I ended up messaging her friend pretending that she forgot her phone and asked if she could tell her to head back, but her friend told me she wasn't with her. I played it off like I made a mistake. My girlfriend got back to our apartment super late. I asked her how it was, and she went into this whole practice speech about what her friend was up to. I asked her who she was talking about on the off chance that I had gotten it wrong, but I didn't. She was lying through her teeth. Finally, she admitted it to me when I started to grill her about coming home at 4 a.m. smelling like booze and having a completely fake story ready to go. The whole time, she was begging me to forgive her, and for a moment, I did. Then I looked through her phone while she was asleep and found her flirting with this guy for a long time. She told him about how little I did for her, how I was a deadbeat, and she wished I would just leave her apartment and find my own place. I just couldn't handle it. When she woke up, we had a conversation about what she did. She told me it was a spur-of-the-moment thing and that it didn't mean anything to her. I asked her how she knew this guy, and she told me she just met him and didn't know too much about him. I didn't end up bringing her text messages up at that time. So I made a choice right then and there. It was over for us. I told her that I forgave her, and I pretended everything was okay. I knew she was going to meet her parents who live 2 states away. I also knew that around that time, I needed to renew my lease. I told her while she was at work I was going to renew, but I really told the office I was going to be leaving. Since it was my name on the paperwork, there was no need to inform her of anything, and I got it all squared away. I got a new place to stay. I started cleaning the apartment and giving my old stuff to Goodwill, but really, I was packing my things up and moving it over to the new place. When she left for her folks' place, I handed over my keys. I sold things that I didn't want to bring over, and then everything that was absolutely definitively hers, I left in front of our door. A couple of days ago, I got a furious phone call from her asking what the hell was happening. I told her straight up that I moved both of us out and I found a new place for me to stay and she better find a new one herself. I started listing the things that she was saying about me to the other guy, and told her to see if he was willing to take in a stray like her, and if not, move in back with her parents. After that, I hung up and blocked her number. I don't care anymore, she brought this on herself. I love the way you exited the relationship, OP. Leaving was the only option left, especially after you saw those texts of her flirting with her AP, and her calling you a deadbeat. She purposely planned to cheat on you, OP. That's not forgivable, and I'm glad you found proof that made you change your mind from forgiving her. She doesn't deserve your forgiveness. I hope she has fun moving back into her parents' home. Story 2. I, 28 male, am a soldier deployed to Afghanistan. I've been gone for 3 months. My wife, 23, visited me at my pre-mobilization post after a month and a half. She was on the phone constantly with her friend and her friend's fiancé back home during the whole visit. I wasn't worried about it. I hardly noticed until she started getting really protective of her phone. I don't like snooping through people's correspondence, but her newfound protectiveness inspired curiosity. While she was using the shower, I looked through her texts and found out that she had 1 or more sexual encounters with her friend, female, and her friend's fiancé, male. I didn't say anything because she had previously disclosed the encounter was just a single drunken kiss and was an isolated incident. Also, I was really excited that she came to visit me and didn't want to ruin the rest of our short time together before I flew overseas. This morning, I confronted her about it over the phone. She hesitated, but ultimately disclosed the full encounter. explaining how it escalated from casual touching to a three-way. She emphasized that she did not have carnal knowledge, penile vaginal penetration with the male, but received oral stimulation from her friend, female, while her friend was engaging in intercourse with the fiancé, male. Previously, my wife had asked permission to engage in this sort of act with these two friends of hers. She also expressed interest in four-way interactions once I returned home. I refused, explaining that I saw it as infidelity and that it would hurt our relationship. Come to find out, she was asking permission after having already engaged in the act. We've known each other for 8 years and have been married for 2 years. I love my wife, but she only confessed after I had caught her. Her story also has some inconsistencies, making me think that I still don't have the full truth. She says she's profoundly sorry and that the encounter was an isolated event. Her friend, female, realized that she's sexually intimidated by my wife and is insecure about her own relationship due to the event. My wife and her friend allegedly agreed to have no further encounters prior to me finding out. She wants to stay married and has said numerous times that she loves me. Edit. I think it's important to point out that my wife is a career woman with a master's degree. She isn't a homemaker dependopotamus. She doesn't need my benefits or my paycheck. Hell, she comes from a wealthy family. Reddit, what do I do? OP, I'm going to go the divorce route. You want two different things. She isn't interested in opening up the relationship, and you aren't. Even if she does things your way and sticks with monogamy, she'll probably be extremely unhappy. If you decide to do things her way and open up the relationship, you would be extremely unhappy. So at the end of the day, you want different things in an area of your relationship that two people need to be on the same page about. This isn't something minor like living in the suburbs or inner city. This is way bigger than that. So if nothing else, divorce her so you can find someone you're on the same page with. If you were to stay in the relationship, I would very strongly suggest couples counseling. Now for some comments. Obviously, you should divorce her. Talk to a lawyer, get your ducks in a row, etc. But until you're back home, you have to pretend that everything's fine, and that you're moving forward with forgiving her. She can do a lot of damage while you're gone if she knows you're tossing her to the curb. Was this other couple a military couple as well? In addition to the divorce, you could and should try to press criminal charges as well, since adultery is illegal under the UCMJ. You should get out of there. It's obvious that she's interested in this sort of group thing, and you're just not into it. Her desire for it isn't going to go away. So even if she never does it again, she's just going to resent you for not being open to it and stifling her sexuality. That resentment will eventually come to the surface. Some people just aren't sexually compatible, and that's more than enough reason to end a relationship. Sex is a very important part of any relationship. I doubt personally I could, but if you think you can trust her ever again, then maybe try and fix things, but that would kind of need you to be in the same place she is because regaining broken trust is hard. Not saying you should forgive her, not even saying I would in these circumstances because some people seem to get over infidelity, but it depends on who you really are and how hard she's willing to work to gain your trust. For example, is she willing to cut these people out of her life completely to gain your trust or not? Story 3. My wife, 26, and I, 30, had been dating for 4 years, engaged for 1, and married for almost 3 weeks. She told me that our relationship wasn't working because I hadn't been affectionate enough. I feel I hadn't been affectionate because I was too busy planning the wedding, working my ass off to save up for it, and have been working on my career so we can leave our current city. She told me she had slept with someone else. I'm so angry, humiliated, and hurt. I want to save our marriage even though it's only been a few weeks. We haven't had the talk yet of what to do. We're supposed to go on our honeymoon next week, and now I don't know if it's a good idea. Update. Found out my wife is suffering from a personality disorder. Sorry to say that what's best for me is a divorce. After months of couples counseling and individual therapy, the best thing to do is go our separate ways. Thanks to everyone who responded to this thread. Now for some comments. Your wife cheating before her marriage is a major red flag and definitely not something I would tolerate if I was in your shoes. I would probably get an annulment and break off the whole thing, man, but it really is up to you, man. If you don't think you can get through this, you don't have to. You can leave. This comes from a person whose ex cheated on him during the planning of our wedding. She will do it again. I guarantee it. Do not try to salvage this shit, it isn't worth it. You can forgive her when you're ready, but you can't be with her, mate. She lost your respect and love when she decided to not be human and talk about her feelings. Effing another man is not an appropriate way to deal with lack of affection, communication is. The flaw here isn't in you, it's in her. By saying that she cheated because you were not affectionate enough, she affirmatively pushes the blame for her cheating onto you. This is a person who won't even take responsibility for her own disloyalty. Is that the type of person you want to spend the rest of your life with? It would be a different story if 1. You had kids, 2. It was a drunken one-time accident and she immediately confessed. However, in this case, you've been married for 3 weeks. What happens the next time she feels like you're not affectionate enough? Will you take her back then? Cut your loss, divorce, or annul if you're able to.